Hello, welcome everyone, and welcome to another episode of Squord Academy. Today, we have a special guest, someone that we timed perfectly, and I can't wait for you guys to hear about her. Today we have Reni Odetoyinbo on the call. Reni, I'm sorry if I messed up your last name, but I tried to say it as good as possible. But Reni is a content creator, and she is really passionate about just strategic marketing, social justice, women empowerment, career development, and financial literacy. So she wears many hats, many hats. So we'll try to keep this conversation as brief as possible. But and she seeks opportunities to just combine with the world of content creation and strategic thinking in the realms of finance, career, and lifestyle. So, Reni, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I am Reni. I am a full-time content creator, and I teach people about financial literacy, career development, and lifestyle on my platforms. And you can find me anywhere at XOReni on all those platforms.
Awesome. So, Reni, for those who don't know you, because I know, I looked a little bit into your story. You currently live in Canada. You went to college there. I'm sure, and I believe you're also getting your MBA as well right now, if I recall correctly, or you've already gotten your MBA. Okay,
sorry. No, I got my BBA. I got my Bachelor's of Business Administration. Yeah.
Gotcha. Apologies. But yeah, can you just take us back a couple of years ago? What made you get into the world of content creation?
So I started my content in 2020, but before then I was always posting videos and pictures of just like my life on Instagram, but it's not like I was doing it intentionally. But yeah, that's when I would say I started taking it seriously in 2020. And the reason is because we were home and, COVID happened. So we were working from home. I had a lot of extra time because I didn't have to commute 1 hour each way to work. So I was like, I have a lot of extra time. And at that same time, I purchased my first house, and my house, I was 23 at the time. So to all my friends on social media, I was like, hey guys, look, I bought my first house, and I showed the picture of my keys, right? And a lot of my friends were like, hey girl, how did you do this? Like, what are you talking about? You're only 23. How did you buy a house? So I was like, guys, I've been talking to you about investing for so long. I've been investing in the stock market since I was 18 years old. Like, come on, guys. I've been talking about this for a while. And then they were like, nope, we need more details. Make a video, make a podcast, make something to talk about it. And that's really what pushed me into it. I started my YouTube channel on May 18, 2020. It's almost my 3-year anniversary. And now I've built a following of over 90,000 people across all my platforms.
Nice. And what was that journey like? Because I'm sure, because you've been in Nigeria as well, getting your education, graduating. I'm more curious, what was that conversation like when you spoke to your parents? Like, hey, Dad, I'm gonna go into content creation. I'm not gonna do this. What was that conversation like?
I would say when I first started, because I was working at the bank at the time as a marketing manager in their wealth management department. So I was working there, and they were okay with it because it's like, oh, you're sharing this information online, but you also have like a real job, quote unquote, right? So they were not pressed about it at that time, but it was more so when it started to get more serious, and I started sharing personal details like, oh, like I made $50,000 this quarter, like stuff like that. Then they were like, wait, Reni, you're doing too much, like calm down. But at that point I was like, it's too late. But anyways, when I quit, it was when I quit my job that they were a little like, what's going on with you, Reni? And that was in 2021. In October 2021, I quit my job, and I didn't even tell them actually. And I live with them, by the way. So I own my house, but I rent it out, and I still live with my parents. And I just decided to, one day I was like, I can't work at this job anymore. It's draining me. I can't really put as much effort as I would like to in YouTube because I'm working so much. So I decided to quit my job. And then I told my dad, and I said, Dad, I just quit. And he was like, Reni, what? Like, what kind of decision making skills is it? Like, we did not raise you to like this. But we went on a walk, and he told me, okay, you have 1 year, put all your effort, put all your whatever into this. And then like, if it works out, then keep doing it. If it doesn't, go back and get a real job. And I was like, okay, cool. Then I didn't tell my mom because I knew she would freak out. So he just told her for me. And now they're happy about it. Like, I got the opportunity to meet Justin Trudeau a few weeks ago, and that's the Prime Minister of Canada, if you guys don't know. I got the opportunity to be part of YouTube Black, which is like, I think 183 content creators across the world were chosen, and I was one of them to be part of like an accelerator program by YouTube. So yeah, they right now, when they see the money, they're like, okay, it makes sense at this point. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's always like the proof of concept, right? For African parents. But and I like how you phased it out. You first did 1 year of straddling the two, right? Corporate job and content creation as well. Then by October of 2021, you're like, okay, let me now go full on after a full year experience of that. So it's less risky at that point. But then your dad is telling you, okay, do another year full just to watch it, right? So it's always been, you always saw it as phases. Was there anyone like you looked up to? Was there a playbook or something that gave you that kind of confidence? That because 2020 is not like the 90s, right? I mean, we knew many people were doing like maybe TikTok, and we saw lots of rising stars in that. But coming from like the finance world where everyone is like always being safe, were you nervous, and what was like your playbook? Are you saying what you're seeing now was what was expected, right? As far as your track?
Yeah, so funny enough, there aren't many personal finance creators based in Canada. So it's not like I really had anyone to model my journey after. I'm kind of one of the first, especially I'm the first Black woman in Canada who's really focusing on this on YouTube. So I don't really think I had a playbook or anything. More so seeing people in the States who were doing it and making it a full-time career was my playbook. So seeing people like Jackie Aina, Clever Girl Finance, Budget Nista, all these people, they may be in different niches, but they still are Black women who made a full-time salary and multi-six-figure salary on social media. So they were kind of my guidance. The reason I actually felt confident enough to quit was, I think 1 month I made like a few $1,000s on YouTube, and I was like, I could do this. Like that's literally, and what was really life-changing was the first $100 that I made on YouTube. So I started in May 2020. I got monetized by September 2020. And in September, I made $100 from like all the ads that played on my videos. And I was like, whoa, like I'm just talking and I'm making money. Like that's so cool. And then in June of 2021, I made $3,000 on YouTube, and that was like my first time making that much. And I was like, what? Like I can do this. And then that's what really gave me the confidence to quit. So I don't think I'm one of those people who would have quit if I hadn't been making money. I know some people would just leap into it, but I wasn't like that. I was like, let me make some money from this. Let me save up an emergency fund and then quit on YouTube, quit my full-time job. And that's what I did. But yeah, I didn't have any mentorship. I didn't have any guidance, direct anyways. But now I have mentors. I'm a partner manager from YouTube. So I have people who I can learn from. And I now have a community of personal finance creators that I talk to as well. But before that, which is vibes and inshallah,
Interesting.
I think it's interesting that that you mentioned what your growth was like, right, and what that trajectory was like. The fact that you started in, you said May 2020, and by September you already monetized, right? You made your first $100, and by I think you said June the next year, so you made your first $3,000, right? And I find that really interesting, right? Because YouTube is a very competitive space, right? So being able to stand out and to make such a rapid growth is really unique. So I'm curious, what do you think about yourself made you stand out in YouTube and just made people gravitate towards your content to really follow you?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like right time, right? I showed up at the right time. I think during COVID, everybody was home, so they had a lot of time to learn. Also, there was a personal finance boom at the time where people were just interested in learning about personal finance because the market was going nuts at that time.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
We were in a bear market, so everything was up and people were trying to figure out how they can actually get into the market. So that was something that worked in my favor. I started at the right time. Like I'm not sure if I started right now, if I would have the same level of growth that I have back then. I also think that being a Black woman is very unique in the space. I am Black, I'm Nigerian, I am young. Like all of these things work in my favor because I'm one of the only people who look like me. So if a Black person wants to learn about finance, they could go and watch all these white men on YouTube, but like, you know, you'd rather learn from someone who looks like yourself. Yeah. So now a lot of people resonate with me and they're like, oh, this person looks just like me. If she can do it, I can do it too. And that's honestly what has helped me a lot. And the Black community is very strong and they support their people. As long as you are giving value to them, I find that Black people support me 100%. Like my ride or dies. I always tell people that like, yeah, you can, like people are telling me, because one of my like, in my bio, it says like I create content for Black and brown women, basically. And people are like, oh, you're boxing yourself in. And I'm like, no, you don't. This is not boxing myself in. These are the people who have always written for me. And there are more than enough Black women in this world who can support me. So I think those are a lot of the things that help me. And also because I'm very open and vulnerable about my personal finances. I think that's why a lot of people like my content as well.
I noticed that.
Yeah, because most personal finance creators, you never know what they make. You never know how they got started. You never know if their parents gave them a leg up. You never know any of this. But I'm here like my dad taught me how to invest at 18. That gave me a leg up over the majority of people. And that's how I was able to buy my house. It's not because like I'm some special person that was able to buy my house. I was literally born into this. So I'm very transparent about those things. And then I share my monthly income every single month online. So people like that.
That's very good. That's very good for accountability as well. Random question, by the way. What do you enjoy more as far as content creation? Personal finance content or like travel content? As far as what do you enjoy creating?
Ooh, this is a good question. I like both. I would say that well, the travel content is more fun because you know I'm on vacation typically when I'm creating it. So I would say that. But personal finance, it helps people. It like genuinely helps people. And I really like receiving those testimonies from people when they're like, Reni, you did this and I bought a house because of you. Someone messaged me today saying that they just started their house buying journey and I'm the reason that they started it. So like that makes me feel really good. Yeah. So
that's
I guess
right there.
They both have their pros and cons. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean that was a good question. And Reni had to think about that, like, I have to.
Yeah, she answered it well, right?
Answered it well.
But like, you had
political answer.
but it's kind of true, right? Because like when you're on vacation, sometimes like maybe recording may also get in the way of the actual experience as well. So you're right, but the actual heartwarming feeling of getting that kind of feedback, that's priceless. That's priceless.
So for your finance advisory, I guess business, right? How did that come about? I mean, how did you go from content creation as far as just being a content creator, travel blogger, and how did you tie that into the finance space and being a consultant for Black and brown women?
So actually, I don't really do much consulting when it comes to financial, like people, I have Ask Me Anything sessions where you can book a session with me and then ask me any questions that you want. So I don't really, but because I'm not a licensed financial advisor, I don't even like to give financial advice. I'm just like, this is what I would do in the situation. Y'all do what you want to do. Because people on the internet they sue a lot. So yeah, so I actually don't have that, but I know a lot of finance creators do. They do like one-on-one coaching. I don't really do that. However, I have the Ask Me Anything sessions. And then I also, because while I was working in marketing, I was a social media marketer in wealth management. A lot of small businesses need help with their marketing and wanting to build their social media presence. So that's what I mostly consult on. I have like consulting sessions with my clients. And then if they want feedback on how they can do better and basically build out a marketing strategy for them, I do that. So that's mostly what I focus on.
Gotcha. So I'm actually curious. This will be interesting, but being that you're in Canada, right? You're based in Toronto, right? I'm more curious with the African community over there. And as far as you being a content creator, and I know you talk a lot about like finances and stuff, and you're very transparent about that. How does the African community gravitate towards you and your and when it comes to finance and investment and stuff? What does it look like over there?
What does finance look like for the African diaspora? Or
yeah, like how willing are they to accept, or how open are they to investing and thinking outside the box and really trying to put the money to work? I mean, within that community then in Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
that's
question.
a very interesting question. So, sorry to jump on that, but just to throw more color on that, it's almost like everyone talks a lot about how immigrants deal with their own personal finance and how their experiences before that or their personal experiences influence that. So I wonder how, I mean, because you talked a lot of Africans in Canada, so now even doubling down into African immigrants specifically, how have you seen their interaction with personal finance and decisions they make?
Yeah, so I'll say there are a few things. The first thing I noticed about Africans in Canada, newcomers to Canada, they have a lot of responsibilities that take them away from, actually being able to do what they want to do. So I know we all hear about the black tax and how a lot of people are trying to go up, but then they have people back home, or people in their case, in African immigrants' case, or if you're here, people here may even be like demanding money from you, right? So I feel that when I talk to a lot of people, they're like, okay, Reni, I want to save, I want to invest, but like my family back home needs XYZ, or my mom here, I'm her retirement plan. So what do I do? So that would be the first thing that I notice a lot. But when it comes to the levels, I mean, their interaction with investing, once they are able to actually invest, I find first of all, a lot of Africans want quick returns, right? They're like, hey, that's why I see a lot of Africans in like multi-level marketing schemes, like we have a bunch of them, but like they want the quick turnaround, the quick money, whereas investing is a very long-term game. Typically, unless you're an advanced trader, like you want to invest for the long term. So I find that what I see is people wanting to get the highest returns and they're very impatient. But others are, and then there's the other half where they're very like low, very averse. They don't want any risk at all. So I would say it's on two spectrums. It's like I want quick returns, or I want to take zero risk and I just want to save. So that would be it. But I would say the younger the younger Gen Zs and millennials, they're able to actually want to invest, and they're very open to investing, and they're just trying to build wealth. And then I would say the most common thing I see is a lot of people wanting to purchase houses, but I think it's actually not as common in other communities. So I have a lot of South Asian friends and a lot of East Asian friends, and they're in their communities, like homeownership is okay, but it's not like the end all be all, right? Whereas in Nigerian community, especially, I feel like if you don't own a house, what are you doing? That's the reality of it. So, yeah, those are a few things that I see.
So that's you literally hit a lot of nails on. I mean, like that was bang on, because we see the same thing in the US as well. Just FYI, we see the same things in the US. Folks want to invest, but they have a lot of burdens, right? I mean, they're bearing a lot of crosses. I mean, my dad back home, my mom back home, my cousin, this, that, right? So it's different things that are just pulling cash from them. And the home ownership as well is another thing. It's kind of like once you own a home, you've hit that milestone. Like now you've arrived, you're there. So yeah, so it's funny that we both see the same things, although we're in different countries. But diving more into content creation, because I think that's a space that's really growing. I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, every day, every month, I was just telling it. So I feel like every month I'm seeing a new content creator who's really trying to make waves in the space, right? So what are some of the pain points as a successful content creator? What are some of the obstacles that you had when you started in 2020 up until now? What are some of the main challenges that you faced, and how did you go about getting past those obstacles?
I would say some of the main challenges that I faced was just finding the time, like especially when I had my 9 to 5, finding the time to record quality content. It's hard. But what I basically had to figure it out. I would record like 4 videos on a Saturday, and then I would edit them on Sunday, and then I would schedule them out for the next 4 weeks on my YouTube channel. That's what I had to do. But I would say, especially at the beginning, it's the time. Also, at the beginning, your videos are not going to blow. Like that's just how it works for the average person. But a lot of people get discouraged. So I find that's what I hear from a lot of people, like, oh, I've been trying for a month, it's not working. I'm like, girl, like that's not how it works. So that could be something. I didn't really face that because I knew like eventually they'll do well. That was my thought and belief. So it didn't really affect me. I think the main thing is trying to balance your personal life with your content creation. Like, you don't want to have your phone out all the time and like recording everyone, and like you're not able to live in the moment. So that's something that I see a lot of content creators struggle with. And like, especially as you said, when I'm on vacation, I want to enjoy the vacation. I'm not trying to be recording everything. So just finding a balance there. And also, now that I'm a full-time content creator, finding the balance between working all the time, because I could literally work all the time, and actually like seeing my partner, my friends, my family, you know, like making sure that I am balancing those. So those would be a few of the struggles that I've faced. But overall, the job, it's sweet. I love it. I'm very grateful to have this kind of job.
Money is sweet, man. When the money is
Money,
when the money is fun, it has to be sweet.
money is sweet, very sweet.
Now that's a good feedback now, because technically we interview lots of like tech founders on this podcast as well. So technically you are a founder as well. You're a business owner. You are the business, literally. And you just talked about like your experience, and now ending that with money is sweet. What's your advice for startup founders who are now full-time entrepreneurs, right? Who have now gone into the world where income is now variable, income is now risky, it's not as certain as paid employment. What's your advice for them as far as managing their personal finance, just from your own personal experience of how you did that, and even beyond managing your personal finance to thinking about investing? You know, someone's telling you, hey, look, I'm literally now in a very volatile situation in my life because I'm decided to like go on this dangerous path, and they're telling me to invest. How do you balance that? How do you deal with that from your own personal experience?
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell everyone would be, if you're going to be a founder, start an emergency fund, please. Like, you don't know if you're going to make $10 this month, $10,000 the next month. You have no idea. So ideally, you want to make sure that you have started an emergency fund. So if you ever need to tap into that money, then you can just hop over there and get some money from there. So I know you want your business to grow and everything, but before you jump head first into it, get your personal finances settled and have at least 3 to 6 months, even 12 months. I think for the average person who has a 9 to 5, 3 to 6 months is okay. But for a founder, ideally you want 12 months of expenses just sitting there, you know,
Yeah.
especially your living expenses. Like, that is something that you don't want to compromise just because this was not the most profitable month. So if you can pay your rent in advance, that would be a great solution, you know, because it helps you to make sure that you can focus on the business. And again, we have variable income, but our expenses are very fixed. So make sure that you're paying all of your fixed expenses if you can. The next thing that I would say, I think you mentioned investing.
Yeah.
I guess evaluate your personal situation. Just because everyone is telling you to invest does not mean you have to invest every single month. I do personally, because it's something that's important to me, but I would say don't just do what everyone else is saying that you should do, right? Like, make sure that it works. Personal finance is very personal. I always say that. So you want to make sure that the plan that you have created makes most sense for your personal situation. But it is wise to, you know, put some money away for the future always, because you don't know what can happen in 6 months, 12 months, a year, 5 years. You always want to put away money for your retirement and just for your future in general. Another thing I would say would be to make sure that you are putting money away for taxes. This is the biggest thing that I see startup founders messing up, is they say you make $20,000 this month, and then you spend all $20,000 this month. That $20,000 is pre-tax money, and the IRS or the CRA here in Canada are still going to come for that, however much it is, 10%, 20%, 30% of that is theirs. So just to avoid that, I would say put away money every single month for your taxes, put it in a different account, and then whenever it's tax time, it'll be easier for you because the money is already set aside and you can just take it from there and put it away. So that is what I would suggest.
So I want to make sure, because she mentioned this, and I like how she just slipped it in there at the beginning of this conversation. Oh, but I met Justin Trudeau, so I want to make sure. I want to make sure we go back to that, right?
Let's highlight that.
just highlight that. I want to make sure we go back to that, because I did say that I came across that while researching you and your story. So can you give us more context? How did that meetup happen? What was the story behind that?
And when is the next meetup so that you can invite us as well?
You can invite us, yes.
The next meetup, I hope there's another one. But yeah, so I met Justin Trudeau because so actually I was in Antigua. I was on the beach relaxing, and I told my assistant, don't message me, please. Like, I don't want to see any emails till I get back. If you can respond to them, respond to them. If I can't respond, if you need me to respond to them, then just tell them they'll get a response in a week, okay? So I'm just chilling on the beach by myself. I went on a solo trip, and then I get a message from her, and she's like, hey, I think you're gonna want to check out this email. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I go and check it out, and it says, hi, Reni. We would love to invite you to the reading of the federal budget 2023. It had no mention of Justin Trudeau. So I'm like, okay, cool. I look into it, and it's like the civics team at YouTube. So they focus on the government at YouTube, and they partnered with the government of Canada to bring us over there, bring a bunch of finance creators there to meet the Minister of Finance and to hear the reading of the 2023 budget before anyone else could read it. So it was kind of like they wanted us, I'm sure they wanted us to create they didn't say that, but they wanted us to create content about the federal budget that was coming out. So they invited a bunch of finance creators to come and read it. And it was their first time doing it ever. They picked, like, I think it was 6 or 7 of us from across Canada, and we went and got to see the budget, read it, and everything. So we're there, and then they're like, oh, okay. They're like, oh, Justin Trudeau wants to meet you guys. But so we're gonna have a chance to meet him. And we're like, okay, cool. So we go, and they're like, they're like, you can't have your personal phone, you can't take any pictures. The only pictures you're allowed to take is with his professional camera. And we're like, okay, cool, like whatever, we're gonna meet him, it doesn't really matter. So we go, we get to meet him, and then they're like, and then he's like, oh, sit down, come talk to me. So we got to talk to him for like 15 minutes, which is pretty cool. He answered all of our questions. It was a really great experience, and he's very chill compared to like what I expected. And then that was it. And then I got to meet the Minister of Finance as well. It was just a really good experience. And again, it was all because I create content on social media, which is like mind blowing to me again. So very grateful for the opportunity.
And because you create quality content, I feel like we have to be very specific.
It's that part. Yeah.
That's good. So what's next for you? I'm sure listeners want to know that, right? I mean, you've grown, and I think it's fair to say your growth has been really impressive, and I look forward to what the next couple of years has in stock for you. But it's been really impressive. I mean, I don't know a lot of people who have had this kind of growth on YouTube or just on social media in general. So what's next for you? Because I'm sure you have big goals. I'm sure you have big dreams. So what's
because I mean after the budget meeting, man, I don't know whether we should have to call Biden. You know,
I have to call Biden. They're not calling me. They're not calling me. I'm not getting the
honestly, Biden, hit me up, okay? Like, I would love to come. I would love to create more content about financial literacy in the States as well. So Biden should hit me up. But yeah, some of my future goals are, I really want to create content about the States that they mentioned, because I have a huge following in the States. Like on my YouTube channel, more people in the States follow me than in Canada now, which is kind of weird, but I have a pretty big following there. So creating more content that is applicable to people in the States, and also partnering with some brands in the States. And I know they have bigger budgets than the brands here, so that would be great. I also want to release some courses. So a lot of people ask me about courses that I have and things like that. I don't have any right now, but a lot of people want to learn like the basics of personal finance, investing, different things like that, personal branding. So I'll probably create 1 or 2. We'll see how it goes. And I don't know, just scaling my business, scaling my impact, reaching more people, growing my podcast. Like my podcast it was one of the top 5% most shared podcasts last year in the world. So I want to do hopefully top 1% next year. So yeah, like I feel like I just want to keep growing and impacting people's lives, because it really, that's the whole purpose of this, to impact people's lives. And obviously if I get paid a check to do that, that's also very nice as well. Yeah.
And what's the title of your podcast for those who don't know?
Yeah, my podcast is called Don't Go Broke Trying. And on the podcast, I interview guests and I ask them how they went broke. so that we don't make the same mistakes that they did. I always tell people that it's great that, they say mistakes teach you the best lessons and whatever, but I think it's better if you can learn from someone else's mistakes so you don't have to make those mistakes. Yeah. So it's been amazing. I had one season that was 26 episodes, I believe. This is our second season. It'll be another 26 or so, I don't know, episodes. So I am very excited to put it out. Season 2 is coming at the end of April. So I can't wait for you all to listen to it. I have great episodes like Don't Go Broke Trying to Become an Influencer, Don't Go Broke Trying to Japa, Don't Go Broke Trying to, what else do I have? Don't Go Broke Trying to Buy Your First House, and all of these different topics. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to listen to it this season.
Damn, Reni, from those topics, that does make me know that there's so many ways of going broke.
Yeah, so many. Yeah, I'm even interviewing someone about Don't Go Broke trying to get funding for your business, so stuff like that. Like I have a really good lineup of people, so I'm excited for this season.
Yeah, that's very good. A close up to, because obviously we are buyers, right? We run like an angel club, right? Group of young professionals who invest in startups. I've noticed, just like we've mentioned throughout this call, right? The very few people in diaspora who actually want to invest in the first place in anything. And when they do, real estate comes to mind. Even real estate back in Nigeria comes to mind to them before like other asset classes, before the stock market, or before startups. So that's very interesting. I don't know whether you could just share some thoughts on that. We would like to see a world where most people in the diaspora start like investing in like tech startups back home, or like companies itself back home. How come that hasn't started growing as an asset class? Real estate gets all the love. I hate real estate.
I think that it doesn't get as much love because a lot of people just don't know about it. Honestly, we don't know much about angel investing. And I think the average person thinks that angel investing is for the ultra rich, right? So it's for the billionaires that have, I can just throw away, not throw away, but throw in this much money into this company. So I think that's why we really don't hear about it. So I'm sure this podcast will help educate people on the benefits of angel investing and how they can actually do it. But yeah, I think breaking it down into very simple terms would be very helpful. And I'm sure there'll be a growth if there's more education about what angel investing is. I've had a few people ask me if I can do some episodes on angel investing. So we will see if I can do it. Yeah.
That's good. So Reni, before we get into this last piece, it's kind of like a rapid fire session, right? Just 4 or 5 questions, just quick answers. And you're good at thinking on your feet. You're good at thinking on your feet. So this will be interesting.
Okay.
But before we get into that, do you have any questions for us?
Why did you guys start your podcast?
Deep. So let me touch on that a little bit. I think it was the same reason. We obviously one angel club were just a group of friends, so we know each other, we're all close and all of that. But we noticed that many other crowdfunding platforms, right, which were not that yet, they talk a lot about education, because they know that, just like you said, they know that before, investing in startups or investing in like companies was very for the high net worth individuals, and now that crowdfunding by design is bringing that to the retail market, which the SEC was very much against before. But now that they have some vehicles that allow that, they still knew that the onus is on the platform to really prioritize education as much as they prioritize investing. So we felt like this would be a great way to interact, educate, just get great people like you on our podcast as well to talk. But then along the journey, we started seeing things like you mentioned throughout this show about how creating content is not easy. It's very, and we're just like, we're not, I can't tell that, but look, we're not a content thing where, angel group or whatever, but we just noticed that this took so much time, so much, all of that. You saw that for, fixing his camera at the beginning of this call. So it's just been a very interesting experience on both worlds. Yeah. So, do you want to touch on that as well?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It was more so as a chance, because we already used to have these conversations behind closed doors. We used to speak with each other. We felt like there was a gap, kind of like what you said. There was a gap in education. A lot of people that we reached out to invest in startups, as much as we were seeing the value in it, they naturally didn't always see that value because they didn't fully understand what exactly we were trying to do. So we just said, how about we just start a podcast where we interview other angel investors and entrepreneurs, just trying to educate people on the opportunities that lie in the African continent, and to kind of break it down to just let them know that now there's not such a huge barrier to entry anymore, that you can just start with a couple of, a couple $100 or a few $1,000s. So just trying to break the current stigma that you have within angel investing, and just letting folks realize that, hey, this is here. You can tap into this resource. You can set up a fund and start investing right now, as opposed to letting the rich get richer. You can also get rich by doing this. So yeah, and that's what it's been. Even doubling down on even the whole, even the strategy behind who we bring on is just, we're trying to make sure it's diverse, right? We're looking at different industries. You're the first content creator that we're bringing on here, and that says a lot as to. And it's funny because you're not even based in the US, but even while having this conversation, you also made it known that yes, you're based in Canada, but a lot of your audience is even in the US. So just seeing how you're not just putting stuff for Canada, like content creation cuts across all areas and countries. So just having this kind of conversation and educating people is what we're here for. And yeah, so I'm just happy about that. But I hope that answered your question.
It did, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So are you ready for this? It's not gonna be
I'm ready.
It's not gonna be
okay.
It's not gonna be too hard. Not gonna be too hard. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. First question. Favorite place you've traveled to?
Rwanda.
Ooh.
I didn't see that coming. Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. Okay. Well, I'll definitely I'd like to hear more about that later on.
Rwanda president call us.
Sorry. What did you say?
I think Rwanda's president should call us as well now.
Okay. Next question. Best advice you've received?
Perfection is the enemy of progress. My manager at my old company told me that, and I always listen to it.
Okay. Favorite food?
Steak.
You said thick?
Steak.
Oh, steak. Oh, good choice. Ooh, good choice. Ooh, the vegetarians will hate you. The vegetarians.
Wait, medium or medium rare?
Medium well. Ooh, medium rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like ready, man. I don't like any ready, man. No. Okay. Favorite book?
I really like Atomic Habits.
Okay, what's that about?
It's about the habits that, like, basically how to create habits that can put structure in your life. So it's by James Clear, and he basically gives tips on how to build habits that will actually change your life. I would highly suggest every entrepreneur, founder reads it, because there's no structure as an entrepreneur, right? You can do whatever you want. So yeah, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Clear.
Got three more questions. What's your greatest weakness?
Like all the job questions.
I know. I'm like, my greatest weakness is that I take things to heart. I don't think it's always a weakness, but in some situations, as a content creator, if you see stupid comments about you, and you take it to heart, you can like let it get to you, right? But I never let it get to me. But I'm just like, how could you say that? I'm So I feel like I'm wasting my energy caring about some of the comments. But honestly, like, my block list is, I have probably 1,000 people blocked on social media because of that.
Yeah.
I protect my peace for sure.
That's fair. That's fair. One word to describe yourself.
Positive.
I like that. And the last one, what was the happiest moment of your life so far?
That's a really hard question.
I know. I mean, that's how you know you've made it, when you have too many happy moments. You have to pick one.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm very blessed. I have a really great life. I don't know. I would say I don't know. Maybe when I quit my job, that was a really happy moment for me, because I felt like I bet on myself, right? I'm very big on choose yourself, bet on yourself, all this stuff. So that was an extremely happy moment for me when I quit.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Thanks.
Just for the sake of balancing, I know I ask you your greatest weakness, so I'll just ask you, what's your greatest strength? I'll make sure we balance that.
My greatest strength is that I am very coachable. Like, and I have like a growth mindset, or I love learning. So like any piece of feedback that I get, although I may take it to heart, it's gonna make me better for sure. Like the other day, someone commented on my video and was like, "Fix your audio," blah blah blah. And then the next day, I was on Premiere Pro, and my audio sounds amazing.
Perfect.
Right now. Yeah. So I would say I love learning, and I have a growth mindset, always wanting to learn more. So that's my greatest strength.
Well, this has been great. This was way. Let me just make this very clear. This was way better than I expected. This was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Before we end this, do you want to just do a quick shout and just voice all your social media handles?
Sure. Okay. Thank you for having me, by the way. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name is Reni once again for everybody. People call me ReniTheResource. So you can find me on social media at XOReni. That's XORENI on my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, my YouTube, Pinterest, literally every platform you can think of, or at ReniTheResource.com. You can also listen to my podcast called Don't Go Broke Trying on any podcast platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you want to listen to podcasts, you can find me. And we also have a YouTube channel called Don't Go Broke Trying. It's a new YouTube channel that I'm doing specifically for the podcast. So check it out. We have great episodes there, if I do say so myself.
If I just say so myself, I like that. And for the listeners, don't worry. I know that was a lot. Reni is doing everything. So we'll make sure we put all the links to her social media platforms on this within the description of this podcast. So feel free to check her out and check her resources as well. But once again, thank you so much, Reni, for coming on. It was a great honor having you on. I'm sure the listeners found a lot of value like we did. And yeah, can't wait to see what the next couple of years has in stock for you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.